Hey everyone, and welcome back to Episode Club. Today we're going to be talking Season 5, Episode 4, Sons of the Harpy. And joining me today are these fine gentlemen, also known as the Cylon Johns, Johnny B. Crazy and John St. Baptiste. And John St. Baptiste has turned into a gray square today. So while he figures that out,
Oh, we're
Johnny,
trying to figure that out.
Yeah,
introduce
John,
yourself.
shut the fuck up till you turn back into a human.
Yes, sir.
Ha ha ha. He loves it. No, thank you for having me on, Sasa, while I take over this episode. Um, Sons of the Harpy. I know everyone loves this episode. The Dorn plot is just magnificent. I can't complain about any section of the Dorn plot. And go ahead and mute for me, John, if you can. And boom
Thank
goes
you.
the dynamite.
Thank you.
So I just want to welcome Linda Smith, the Imagination Realm, Catherine Harding, the great Sasa K, hashtag tootin' the 10, Catherine Harding, Bubba Husky, what is good, Peter Griffin. We got a bunch of fantastic peeps in the chat.
And
I know
John.
there's somebody. No, I'm just kidding. This is yours. I'm just being sassy tonight. I've had a couple of alcoholic beverages, so go ahead, Sasa.
Well, John has dropped out, so he'll come back momentarily.
I'm sure he'll say some kind of cuss word. AU Pack Mule, what is good, my friend? Sorry I missed your stream though. Gonna catch it on the rewatch. I ended up having to do a stream for John as John while John was being John and talking to John. You can check that out too as well, my friend. But everybody check out AU Pack Mule. He is the man. He is the person who literally makes every YouTuber you see in, like, as far as the Game of Thrones community and Westworld and even Tolkien and some Star Wars. So definitely got to give a big shout out to AU.
And yes, shout out to AU. John, what's going on?
Hey, I walked right into shout out to AU, and that is the perfect moment to walk into a room. There is no better moment than to walk into a room when somebody says shout out to AU. I don't even know what you guys were talking about while I was trying to get my camera fixed, but shout out to AU.
AU and how he pretty much makes people become YouTubers and how they're great as always. Yeah, we have also Ben, who's in the chat too, taking care of baby Ramsey, or else he would have joined us today.
How did I forget Sly the Tank Benjamin? Forehead Brothers for life.
Yes, Sly. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so thank you everybody for joining us today. I know there's probably 50,000 live streams going on today as we're like barreling towards season 8.
I just left one before I came here.
Exactly. See? What is life nowadays? So
this is what I call a day off.
Yeah. It's just working on the YouTube grind. So I didn't take notes for this episode because I'm a bad Sasa. So I'm just going off of notes from the internet today, which are not in order. So we have, it just starts with King's Landing. So
Locations. Shout out Nooners of Locations and Lore. New one coming out at 2 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. And Johnny be plugging.
Mm-hmm.
Who's it with, Johnny?
Oh, it's with Mackenzie L. Burns, and it's on High Garden, and we get into many speculatory things. Also, we talk about a little bit of Garth Greenhand. We don't go into every single one of his sons because we're going to have a few more locations in the Reach to talk about, but we get into a lot of fun stuff. It's going to be interesting. Some nice visuals I put together. Maybe a little busy, but I enjoy it. The sound issues are fixed for some reason. It kept putting it in monotone in my video editor. But
if anybody is going to steal my family's home from me, I would want it to be Mackenzie.
What's going on, Lauren's Corner?
Yes. Hello, Lauren. So while we speak of locations, we start relatively in this episode in King's Landing, where there's the small council meeting, and basically Mace Tyrell is told that he is now going to treat with the Iron Bank of Bravos and Meryn fucking Trant will be his bodyguard for the trip. And Cersei starts to have the plans against the Faith militant. So, my kind of thought on this, I'll start just in case, is Mace Tyrell, the best man in Westeros, gets to do something great, which is go and treat with the Iron Bank, aka Cersei's kicking him out for a while, a couple months, just so he doesn't have to come back. And Pycelle, the small council gets smaller and smaller every day, and Cersei's like, it's not small enough. And Meryn Trant gets to take him to Braavos, which obviously we have Arya's kill coming up very soon. So, what did you think about this, Johnny?
Mace Tyrell. This is funny, right? Because the Tyrells in the past have been put in charge of being master of coin, and it was the wife was the whole reason he was put there, because the apple counter, as she was called, was the smart one. But of course, they had to keep strong female suppressed in this world. So he was a figurehead, and Mace Tyrell is a figurehead here. I think it's pretty hilarious how proud he is. It's so funny. And Meryn Trant ends up getting sent to, well, ultimately, like you said, to his doom, which everyone loves. Why not? And this is not the first time we've heard about the Bank of Braavos, but this is the first time we felt the urgency that they've had to do something about the debt. I like this. I wish we would have had a few more hints earlier, but it's cool. I dig the scene. I mean, Pycelle is just, I mean, he can't stand it. He has no control. He doesn't have Tywin anymore, and he's just quivering in his robes. Old Kinky Chains kills me.
John? What do you feel about your favorite ancestor, Mace Tyrell?
Okay, so here's for anybody who was on our stream last night, watched our stream last night for Songs for Ice and Fire. I have this little pet theory, and this is pretty tinfoily, but I think Mace knows everything that's going on. Now this gets derailed with the show, and we're talking about the show. So, but I think I think Mace might be ahead of Littlefinger. Just me personally. And I think he loves the fact that he's having to save these Lannisters from their own bad banking decisions.
Well, I mean, and he does it with a song too, right? That's what makes it so perfect for you, John. Oh, you know.
Yeah. Singing all the way to the bank, as you would say.
I sing all the way to the bank.
Yeah. See?
No, but I like that. We're hitting the point where they're conglomerating so much stuff, and they're throwing in new stuff that has not been put in the books yet.
Yeah, it's almost pointless to talk about the books except to complain, right?
Yeah, and I'm not complaining. No, actually, what I'm saying is I like the little fish hook with Meryn Trant going with him. That's all I'm going to say.
Meryn Trant. Meryn Trant. Yeah, it's a great. Yeah, he's just a nut job, but he's yeah. So with Mace Tyrell being gone,
and like, kind of, I just want to say, like, he's the money fronter too. He's a sugar daddy in this instance as well. You know, but it's a good investment. You're investing in the crown. You know, shit can go sideways. I just want to throw that out there because he does make a smart move here, but I have to say, Olenna probably told him everything to do. I don't know.
Yeah, mommy knows best. Yeah, and then there's like Cersei also points out about the Faith Militant, and she meets with the High Septon, who talks about like the High Septon, and she meets with the High Sparrow, and is saying that, oh, there's somebody here who is sinning against God, which leads into the new form of the Faith Militant going into taverns, brothels, and people who sell idols of the seven, and they just wipe out all the people who go against High Septon. And Lancel is gets his famous now tattoo, and Loris has now been officially arrested and put in jail. And Marjorie ain't happy about that. So, what do we think about the craziness which is the Faith Militant and what they're doing and the reaction kind of that we get from the Tyrells?
This is akin to the rise of the Faith Militant during Aenys' reign and Maegor's reign. Very much mirrors it. And then Cersei goes and went ahead and gave him power. So he's going to take this power. And Lancel, you can see in his persona, he's easily manipulated throughout the entire show. So he is ripe for cultish behavior. And we definitely see that here. And they basically just take over the town. Fervent, crazy believers, right? John, you would know a little bit about that. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, John?
I was passing it to you, man.
You're
muted,
Jim.
bro. My bad.
Boom. There we go.
Hashtag
Am I
find the
muted
button.
now? Sorry, I've been online half the freaking day. Cersei, look a gift horse in the mouth. Like, seriously. You know, be careful what you buy, because you just might get what you asked for, and it might not be what you wanted. And right now, it's working out for her, but we're going to see that that's not the case. Also, the zealotry. I think the moment that this was sown, if this makes sense to either of you, and if you disagree with me, please say it, was when Marjorie was like, take all this extra food from the wedding and give it to the masses. And Cersei was like, feed it to the dogs.
It might even have been before that. As soon as she saw her as any type of threat, especially marrying Joffrey, any new queen she saw, according to this prophecy, that she goes insane over, even more so in the books than in the show. She's already thinking this because she had Sansa in mind to begin with, and then, don't have to worry about Sansa, and then boom, immediately here comes Marjorie Tyrell, the smirking bitch from Highgarden, and whatever the hell she called her. It's hilarious.
Dude, nobody can smirk like Natalie Dorn.
Right? I know, right? And it's amazing to me how much Cersei lets prophecy control her life, but I think we all would. What would you do if you were told your future? It would drive me insane. And if you know your future is possibly true, you've seen it unfold before your eyes. You've seen your son die. You're getting the golden shrouds. You'll never marry Rhaegar. She ends up marrying. You'll marry a king, not the king, and you won't even have sons. So everything has played out. So her level of paranoia has to be heightened. And I'm sure as soon as she locked eyes with Marjorie, she just wanted to figure out how to get rid of her. But yeah, this is the biggest mistake Cersei's ever made for sure. I'll stop ranting now because I tend to go on tangents.
Oh no, I'm just talking about not even her confrontation with Marjorie. I'm just talking about like bread and circuses. That's what keeps the fucking masses happy.
Yeah.
Like bread and circuses.
Oh, yeah, for
Rome
sure.
bread and circuses. And that's what Marjorie was trying to do. Like after the wedding, at the wedding, that's what Marjorie was trying to do. And Cersei's like, no, give that food to the dogs.
Yeah, I guess fandom Descent couldn't defend that move. That might be one of the few.
Your kid just got shit thrown at him. Yeah, the one you just watched choking to death. Well, like 2 or 3 days ago, he just got shit thrown at him.
Yeah.
So maybe acting nice to these people might be a good idea. Like just throwing that out there, you can throw it right back if you want to, but I mean, seriously.
It's logical. I mean, I see her. She did a lot of things that Alysanne did for the people and other queens that have, even if she didn't mean it, she's doing the right thing politically and getting out that propaganda, so to speak. So
yeah, you and I kind of talked about that when in the episode that Tom and Marjorie get married, which was 503, is that they kind of could have been Jaehaerys and Alysanne if they had spent more time together, in terms of like being a relatively peaceful couple that was in Westeros at the time. But shout out to Secrets of the Citadel, Gemma, who popped into the chat. Awesome to have you here, as well as Lauren. I know we shouted Lauren out earlier, but they just had a stream, so awesome.
Oh yeah, worst decision Tommen ever made was shoving himself out the window as opposed to his mom.
I tell you what, best plank and funniest death I've ever seen on TV. He pulled that off.
It was funny, but like seriously, worst decision he ever made.
Well,
like he should have just shoved mom out the window.
Yeah.
Well, when your wife is Natalie Dormer and she just died in an explosion caused by said mother, you would just want to be like, time to go. And plus, especially if you also think mom died in that explosion too, you're like, if you're a mommy's boy and your wife is not significantly, but like at least a few years older than you, you'd be like, sister's dead, got nothing else to live for, essentially. So, but
everybody's dead, and even in the books, he's far younger. And this would affect you. He's tried everything he could do to become a man. And his separation, his trying to, pull away from his mom has led to the destruction of everyone he loves. So there's an immense amount of guilt he has to feel. And his emotions, the fact that we can't discount the fact he's going through puberty. And emotions, you go through these, everything seems more exaggerated and a teenager, and that's people life. It's tragic. I really made it look so funny. I don't mean that in a way. He has a tragic life. He would have been a good king, but not a great king because he's too easily manipulated. But he would have is definitely a good person, and it's hard. We see these good people throughout Game of Thrones who die. Good people die. You got to have a little bit of evil in you, or you're not gonna survive in this world. John found out that the hard way.
We're getting to that, a few episodes down the road, but in this episode, like. Tommy, yeah, you have a point. He's young and hormonal. Why doesn't he fucking stand up for anybody?
Yeah.
Like, if I were young and impulsive, like, I remember when I was young and impulsive, I was like, oh, hey, Oh, oh, let's go ahead and fight. You know, Tommen's like, oh, well, I don't know. He's anus.
Yeah, and with the religion now taking over, and Marjorie basically storming into, I guess, Tommen having lunch by himself. She's like, "Why is my brother in a cell?" He's like, "I don't know. I didn't order it." And then he goes and runs to and then he's like, "I don't think my mom did it." And Marjorie goes, "Oh, like basically, oh sweet boy, almost." It's like, "Mommy did it because mommy wants to send my brother packing because we didn't send her packing fast enough."
I'm gonna just read these comments real quick. We'll move on to the next thing. I know we're lagging here, but Sasuke says he didn't shove himself; he let gravity take him. And
yeah,
he says also, "I love Tommen's death gif. Does that make me a bad person?" And no, it doesn't. It's a fictional character, thankfully, and also. Peter Griffin says he thought he thought maybe Tommen would stick the landing, but
there's a real new name.
He says he got a significantly lower score from the Russian judge. They're just going crazy in the chat, and yeah, laugh if you want to. If not, then
Imagination Realm's asking how old Tommen is. I feel like he's 15. He was 15 at the time.
In the show, in the books, he's like 9.
I don't know what you just said, but
the books. You're talking like a Canadian now with a boot.
No, but you know, Baptise, could you get ice cream for a nickel when you were a kid? This is a question from Bubba Husky.
I'm not quite that old.
Bubba was asking about that. Yeah, we can talk about this another time, but the actor who plays Tommen and the actress who played Marcella actually dated in real life during this season, like during the time when they were filming this season / next season. So it's like a little awkward. It's like, but anyway. But yeah,
well, he's not going to pull a Natalie Dormer. I'm sorry. Like, no. I mean, he's an attractive young man, but he's not going to pull a Natalie Dormer.
No, like, only in the show he will do that. But
yeah. I don't know if that's true. It just depends. You know, hey, how much money you got.
But moving along, we see, that Loras is now in jail, and Cersei points out that she didn't arrest him. The Faith Militant arrested him. So then she says, okay, if you want to set she basically tells him, okay, if you want to set your brother-in-law free, you got to go ask the High Sparrow. So he goes and asks, but doesn't get to fully ask. So what do you feel about the people, the common folk, versus Tommen almost in this situation?
I mean, go ahead.
Go ahead, John.
Damn it, man. Don't say the same thing I say at the same time when I say it, John. The two Johns. This is an interesting situation for Tommen because he's being played by his mother, but his mother's really playing his wife, and his wife, he really loves his wife. So it's this horrible threat he has to deal with on both sides. He's not going to get any help from his mother in this situation because she sees that he's trying to push her away. When he goes to the people, they're not letting him in, and I feel like Tommen is too afraid to use force. At this point, he has just become king. And John, do you think anyone else almost would have used force? At least to an extent.
Do you see a correlation between Tommen and Aenys?
Oh yeah, Tommen and Aenys. No, Tommen and Aenys. Yeah, I definitely see a correlation. A little too soft.
Like
needs advice from everyone.
Sometimes you gotta clench that fucking fist, dude. You gotta do it. Your wife is in prison. Your brother-in-law is in prison. Like, just
he's got to
some
do
heads
it.
together.
And I have a podcast coming out soon. I'm going to be comparing exactly that: Aenys, Tommen, Maegor, and Joffrey, and then Cersei and Visenya, which I think is just very apropos for them, and it'd be fun to talk about because you can go down the rabbit hole with some Cersei poisoning. But yeah.
Oh yeah, the poor kid had Munchausen syndrome. Like, I don't know what.
Yeah. Damn, that's messed up, man. So tell us your thoughts on that before we just take this off a tangent.
With Tommen and going into the capital, they just, when he gets out, he's at the Sept of Baelor, and they start screaming, "Bastard, illegitimate child," like all like the names in the book, because they all know. Just Tommen either is oblivious or he just doesn't know why they're kind of screaming that name at him. And then he doesn't want bloodshed, which, because of the situation, and it's escalating. So they pretty much turn around and head home. And after this, it's like Marjorie realizes how naive and young Tommen is. So she says, "We're bringing Olenna back." So Olenna did go home, but now she's come back to visit Marjorie. So
Bringing sexy back.
Yeah, Johnny, one of your favorites is coming back on screen. But yeah, what do you feel about the common people yelling "bastard" and like product of incest at Tommen, John? Him not wanting bloodshed.
Like me, I'm personally of the school that you try and get along with people as much and as well as you can. But if it hits a point where you realize that, that's not going to work, crack some skulls together. Like, seriously, like, I show watching, and even in the book, it talks about this. Like I thought of him as kind of spineless. Like, I would be like, I'm the king. Like, not like Joffrey, I'm the king.
Don't lie.
I'd be like, I'm the king, very quietly, and then send people out to like kill the High Sparrow.
Mm-hmm.
I very quietly say, "Well, I'm the king, and this person is causing me a lot of problems. So please go slit his throat and get my brother-in-law out of prison."
How hard would it be to hire someone just to walk by and shank him? It wouldn't be that hard. To your point, John.
Hire a faceless man. Call 1-800-FACELESS-MAN.com.
You don't even need to call 1-800-FACELESS MAN. You just need to like call 1-800-BUM off the freaking street.
And Marjorie's completely powerless here too, right?
Yeah.
And she's gonna go get her grandmother, which I would do the same damn thing.
Go get your lover, right?
The Queen of Thorns. Bow, chicka, bow. Anyways, no. Love Olenna Tyrell, and actually the scene when they come back to free them is hilarious with Lord of. What's happening? Anyways, we'll talk about that later.
So, do we want to talk about Dord now or in a little bit? Do we want to rip the Band-Aid off?
Sure, why not? Let's get over with.
So pretty much,
bloody good way to put it.
Jaime and Bronn are on a Pentoshi merchant ship, and they talk about why they're going to go get Marcella, and if Jaime well and truly hates Tyrion for killing Tywin. And then there's the fight with the Sand Snakes and all of that. I don't even want to like talk about it because it's completely pointless. And they're pretty much fighting some of the not guards, but like the knights, I guess, of Dorne. And obviously Jaime wins, and Bronn wins, and then later on. We see Ilaria and the Sand Snakes, and how pretty much they want to kill Marcella afterwards. So, what do we feel?
Well, I feel that it's pretty funny. They end up going by the Sapphire Isle. Jamie mistakes it for Estermont, I think. But it kind of he has to think about Brienne again and think about things he cares about before he's basically going. I wouldn't say on a suicide mission, but he knows this is very dangerous. And I guess they get outside of Sunspear, somewhere on the beach, and well before they can do anything, right? You know, Jamie talks about if he ever sees Tyrion again, he'll kill him.
Yeah.
Which we see is kind of probably not going to happen, but we're going to see some anger there. Definitely a little bit of sibling talk. But right now, the battle for life is at hand, and I won't go off into that too much. But with Bronn, I don't know. It's a fun little buddy duo, but I don't know how much more you can say about it. Jamie actually uses his hand to help himself, which it saves his life. His broke hand saves his life, so that's pretty funny. And the introduction of the sand snakes was somewhat cheesy, even though at the time I didn't have. It was okay. Now looking back on it, that was massive foreshadowing for the death of Dorne.
Mm-hmm.
Pick up on that tangent.
Yeah, so they're just for location, they were outside of Sunspear and adjacent to the Water Gardens. There you go. So that's where they were in terms of when they were on the boat. John, what do you feel about Dorne?
Okay. First, I do have to say I like Jamie and Bronn's dialogue with one another. I really do. I enjoyed it. I thought it was kind of funny. Now, the rest of this scene, Johnny, do you have your sound box handy? Johnny?
I dropped for a second.
I was just asking if you had your sound box handy.
Oh, no, I don't have it handy.
Okay. Well,
it was earlier today. This is all your fault.
Well, Bronn and Jamie's dialogue I liked. Outside of that, Kenzie, I'm not going to say this literally on your show, so.
Okay, so I can translate because I can read lips pretty well. One part was the worst fucking television I've ever seen, but I don't know if I want to say the other stuff he's saying at this moment.
So, anyway, yeah, I mean, the scene was, it may have could have been done better.
It may have could have been done better. All right, Stan, get your grammar. Mackenzie. I don't even know.
Get your grammar going. Well, the one kind of takeaway that we can kind of have from what they say is where and how they want to die. So Bronn says that he wants to die in his own castle with his sons fighting over their inheritance. Not gonna happen. And Jamie says that he wants to die in the arms of the woman that he loves. Which, if it's Cersei, cool. If it's Bran, even cooler.
I be running on the battlements like we see him in the battlements and actually land on Brienne, breaking her legs. He will die in her arms, and Brienne will get taken away, and Jamie won't be saved.
That's some crazy tinfoil, right?
Oh, that'd be funny. Yeah, Jamie slips on a banana peel. I called it.
And then Bran catches him, and then he gets Oathkeeper to the heart.
They're like useless information from Johnny on episode.
You're kind of roboing a little bit.
Roboing?
Yeah, you're
It's
styling.
John's fault.
It's my fault? Okay.
It's John's fault. He
No,
used
he
up
said
all
it's
my
my
good
fault.
internet earlier today.
It's all John's fault.
Is that better, everyone?
Yes.
The
Yes.
fact that you can't see my face makes the internet work better. Fuck you, internet.
Trent, for probably until we finish talking about Dorn, maybe, and then you can come back. And then your internet makes you want to have a timeout, FaceTime out.
A FaceTime out. I just get like a what the hell, Johnny be crazy. It's what I get in the chat.
Yeah, from Imagination Realm.
Hey, you know Jamie's gonna fall off the battlements and then like land, give Brienne a concussion, and while a white's eating her face off and he dies in her arms, and all that good stuff.
Stokeworth? Bronn wasn't given Stokeworth. He was
Lawless
was supposed to marry Sir Willis Bracken instead. So Stokeworth is no longer in his window of opportunity. That was snatched in the last episode. So
I like Mr. World for a second, Peter Griffin.
Yeah. Mr. World.
Whoa.
It's fucked up.
I'm trying to figure it.
Peter Griffin had a point there. Shit.
I don't know.
Johnny, are you Mr. World?
I don't know what the answer is.
I refuse to answer that. Plus, you can't know if I'm a god or not. I can't tell you.
Oh.
And what am I roboing? What are you owing over there?
I thought you paused yourself, but then you started to robo for a sec, but then you flattened out. It was fine.
See, this makes me mad because that's all your fault, John. I'm just kidding. No, let's see if I can get through the robo. We have Nymeria in this scene. So we get to see Nymeria. Everybody should be happy about the Sand Snakes, right? So good with that whip. Who is that? Yeah, it's Nymeria using the whip there. And, she knocks those scorpions off. How cool is that? And who's this random guy they got buried up to their neck? Are they, I don't know. What do people just often go out in the desert by themselves, miles and miles away from everyone, just to whip scorpions off people's face? I know they're torturing them for information or whatever, but I have to agree with John on what he said through lip dub.
It says that it's a merchant ship captain is the person who's buried in the sand. Yeah, so we meet a few of Oberyn's daughters, Nymeria, Tyene, and Oberyn's daughters, Obara, Nymeria, and Tyene, who all eventually die. Spoilers for season 7.
Shout out to Seth K.
Yes. Yeah, who has the song?
Into shape. Shape it up.
Whip it.
Whip it good.
Whip it.
I met those guys and they're the most normal people that you will ever meet. It was so strange because they're so normal. Like I went to see Devo and they're like so normal, it's abnormal.
That's cool.
But yeah, that's totally Nymera's song. I hate show Nymera. I'm gonna go ahead and mute myself because I'm gonna say.
Oh my god. Yeah, she kind of doesn't live up to, I guess, her namesake, in a sense. And we also find out that Duran will not raise Ilaria says that Prince Duran is not going to raise the armies to avenge Oberyn's death, and that they don't need an army to march on the Lannisters, and that they're going to kill Marcella with some, but they don't know what they're doing yet, but they're going to kill Marcella, which they end up doing in about 6 episodes from now. The dead daughter. Cersei will get her dead daughter soon. They also have the problem because then they get caught. Jaime and Bronn get caught with Ilaria, Obara, Nymeria, and Tyene, and they get caught. And yeah. So. Mm-hmm.
What happened? That's what happened when we don't get to watch the episode.
So hold on. So this is where they reveal that it's Pentoshi, ship captain, merchant ship captain, and that he says that he will bring, knowing that they'll bring Dorne into war, and then she talks about how she met Oberyn, and then it says we all must choose our battles, and the gods let us choose our weapons, and then they talk about the spears and using the spears for Oberyn. There we go. Yeah, it's like Jaime and Bronn are worried about getting captured by the Sand Snakes still after killing all of the Dornish warriors, and then it flashes back to them getting the torch and pitchforks and like, let's go kill.
Just say red shirts. Just say red shirts.
Well, I mean, you got to go back. I don't know how
red turbans. Red turbans.
The whole fact of avenging Oberyn is just a bad mistake, as Franco agrees with me, as you can hear. And, well, I mean, he chose to fight one-on-one, and he died in a tribal combat. I don't see why you should want to. Like, Doran is right in this instance. There's no reason to rise up. Now, they would have went the Alysanne Martell route. I can see that. Try to put Marcella on the throne and go that way. That's smart as hell. But just to want to cause all-out war, to have an army, they don't even have a chance of winning this war. What the hell are they doing? I don't understand what Ilaria's thinking. Sorry, I hit the mic. I don't understand what Ilaria's thinking. She's not thinking at all. Is probably the best quote, whatever. I'm quoting myself. Hi, I'm Johnny. I'll talk about myself in the third damn person now. Anyways, good night, Lady Dreamfire.
Yes,
no, you're right. It's just poor decision making. Wait, Lady Dreamfire, are you going to bed? Because you asked to see the shirt that I wore the other day.
Oh.
And I do think I have it on hand.
I don't know if she's left yet.
Oh, she's gone. She's gone. Never coming back. But
she said she's still here, Don.
Hurry, crack up.
Hurry up, she's still here.
Okay. Let me get the shirt then.
Intermittent shirt time. Dun 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 dun. But
okay, so the shirt
quicker than John's ever been back.
This is the tour shirt from Criddle Filth's Inquisitional 2016 tour. That was the shirt I was wearing the other day.
There's
lots of boobs on
rated TVMA.
Yeah, rated TVMA.
Let's hope that's not picked as the thumbnail, even though it won't be the automatic thumbnail.
It could totally be. It might get like more clicks.
What's funny now is you'll see John saying Baptise in all of y'all's comments, and it may not actually be him.
Dun dun dun. Anyway, so the next is the Summer Sea, which is actually where we start this episode, because in 503 we end off with Tyrion being captured by Jorah, and he's going to take Tyrion to the Queen. But basically Tyrion is gagged, and they just have a conversation about not Cersei, but rather Daenerys, and that Tyrion recalls that Jorah was spying on Daenerys for.
Now you froze.
Oh, she froze. That was a crazy spot she froze into. Is it this or next episode where Tyrion says, long sullen silences and a punch in the face, the Jorah Mormont way? I can't remember if that's this episode or the next one, but Jorah knocks out her fisherman to get the boat, and I swear, so, Mackenzie's frozen face is killing me right now. It's so funny. I'm sorry, Sasa. This is hilarious. I've never seen the face. John can't even look at the screen. Oh my god. Oh my god.
I think it's the episode sucks so much.
Sasa's face tells you the episode sucks. But Jory, like Sasuke said, do you see your face? Kenzie, do you see how
I'm trying to be as positive as possible.
Do you see how it
Oh my god, I
burned
hate
on
this
you?
episode.
No, I dropped out, so I didn't get to see anything.
Not only did you drop out, like you froze.
The face you were making. It was so funny.
You're like,
Oh, I don't know.
Anyway, I went into Jorah, punching the fisherman in the face and knocking him out, taking the boat. And then I can't remember if this is where Tyrion says long sullen silences and a punch in the face the Jorah Mormont way. Also, I've been laughing so hard that I can't talk. Take it away, Sasa.
Well, I kind of explained this whole scene, and I guess I was off air for a second. So
Try to do it like this.
I'm not doing it again, but okay. So yeah, Tyrion wants so he's been captured by Jorah, and he wants to have the gag removed, and he talks about how that he knows where Jorah is from. He's from Bear Island, and that he must be a Mormont because there was a bear sigil on his armor, and that and Jorah admits that the queen he's taking is to Daenerys and not Cersei, to, I guess, repay his debts of spying on her for essentially the Lannisters. So, what is this trade?
Jorah stole him to take him to the place he was already going. Oh, the segment just keeps getting funnier.
No, because like in the books, Tyrion thinks that's hilarious.
Yeah, but even Tyrion's just like, really, you're stealing me to go to the place where I was already destined to go to. Poor Varys, just by himself now. Varys says no one. But Johnny, what do you think about this? Because you're giggling away.
Well, I kind of said it already, a little bit, but more so that Jorah is just on this mission. I think we've talked about this before. He has a pardon. He can go back. He can go back to Westeros if he wants. Sure, it's signed by Robert Baratheon, but I don't think they'll give a shit. Cersei, if he'll help her, or even he could go back, and if anything, be a hedge knight.
I think Cersei likes pedophiles, honestly.
Well, I don't know anything about that, but I mean, Khaleesi does remind Jorah of his first wife when she's still like 12 or 13 years, like 13 or 14 years old. So yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Going back to it, just this is the only thing he lives for, and this is Jorah's weakness. We saw this with his wife, the Hightower. I can't remember her name. That he wed. That just he would do anything. He literally House Mormont. Thankfully, he didn't pawn the Valyrian. his lust, his emotions for love, like wanting to be loved, seemingly override every five, and that's what drives him ultimately. Like I feel like he didn't even have really any goals except, yeah, I guess I'll take a pardon before he met Danny. I don't even know how excited he was about it.
No, all jokes aside, I agree with you entirely. Like, yeah, I make a bunch of Jorah Mormont pedophile jokes, but like seriously, yeah, he wants to be loved. He wants.
Yeah.
He wants that. Because of his past, because of his history.
Well, when you basically been kind of thrown out by the one person who actually like you support 100% her destiny, like in Daenerys, like, and she's just like, nah, not today and not ever, bitch. And it feels like can get her back in the good graces. It's like yes and no. Like bring her Tyrion is gonna make like all of a sudden she's gonna just kill Tyrion. No, but it's a relatively short 2 scenes put together, but it just shows the power of what Tyrion can do and the way he talks to people.
The power of his tongue. Andy Burnett, what is going on? How are you doing? Long time no see. I hope all is well, my friend. Also, Sasake makes a good point, John. Jorah's no more a pedo than any of the lords who leered at Dany or Sansa or any of the other young.
Oh no, I think they all are.
It's the way of the world.
One has to take into consideration that this is the culture, but still, it's creepy. Yeah. I'm not a Jorah hater. I mean, his dad's pretty badass.
His dad's super badass. Also, you know, the fact that he had to be killed by Ras is just another story. Fucking douchebag. Anyways, Andy Burnett does have a good point too. Classic case of he wants love, but no one loves him back. Poor Jorah, always in the friend zone. Captain of the friendship. I added the end of it there. But in the books, he's way less attractive than he is in the show. He's a hairy, very stout, robust, barrel-chested man with a bald head. Hair on his whole body except his head. Kind of, you know, I admire the man in that way, you know. Other than that, you know, he's not a good-looking dude, but in the books, I kind of like his character more, even though, who's this, Ian Glenn that portrays him?
Yes, Ian Glenn, yes.
And he does a very fine job, even though they look nothing alike. I can accept this role.
Yeah, and Sasuke points out, like, back in that time period, she would have been married off 12.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's if you were lucky and you got to wait till you're that old.
Pretty much, yeah. Like,
of course, back in that time period, I'd be dead. John would have dysentery.
Actually, you'd live a long age because, like, the people who actually got to drink alcohol didn't have to drink the shit water.
Yeah. What is the turning? I don't know.
Oh my gosh, you just said some horrible things about me, or
no, awesome I just blew your mind. You would survive in any other time, even this time. Oh man,
doing very well.
You had to be an alcoholic. You had to drink so fucking much back then to survive. Because if you drank a cup of water, it will kill you. It will fucking kill you. They didn't. It's amazing how long it took people to realize that boiling water is what makes it safe. All the process of alcohol, like, that's safe to drink. But
the man who said that you should wash your hands before you deliver babies was so ostracized by the rest of the medical community that he killed himself.
Oh, yeah. You see stuff like that all the time. Anybody with great ideas and ways of thought that actually seem reasonable today, usually were shunned in the past. Most great people like that, to your point, John, they don't get recognition until after they die a lot of times. Even Tesla is still barely getting the recognition he deserves today.
Yeah.
Tesla.
There's some funny things in the chat right now. Like Peter Griffin says, but Bubba, I was happy to see Jorah outfit got an upgrade in the trailer. Yes. Jorah has no more yellow shirt. He kind of gets rid of that in season 7. Andy Burnett also Andy Burnett says no indoor plumbing. I would never survive. Yeah. Right. And Bubba also says water, like from the toilet.
Okay, you guys know I hate spoilers, but season 8 spoiler, I took Jorah to the tailor. Yeah. I took Jorah to my tailor, and I was like, "Hey,
can you take that
another shirt, dude?
Can you take that piss-soaked shirt you've been wearing for 4 years off, bro?"
Yeah, exactly. Well, it had like grayscale remnants on it, you know.
Grayscale Kalishi.
Yeah, the yellow. Yeah, but like Bubba says, the yellow shirt got grayscale as well. So, yeah. And Andy Burnett also said that's going to be me. My geniusness won't be appreciated until I'm dead. So, like everybody here will be like, yeah. So with Tyrion and Jorah, they're just on their merry little way until about the gift episode with the gift. But if we go to the Wall next, we see Jon recruiting, training some of the recruits in the yard at Castle Black. And we also get Stannis talking to Selyse about Jon and Jon's importance. And then we get Mel and her trying to seduce Jon for either shadow babies or for something else. Who knows? And we later.
Before we even go on to that, can I just say something real quick? And I know people have been spouting this on. I really don't want her to be Nisa, but right here, can you feel my heart beating? Can you feel the warmth through my blade, of my blood? And she notes about the fire that's inside of her. So I can still see Mel sacrificing herself some way, even coming to believe that she's Nisa in a sense, because we know that these legends are not literal. They can't be. They're so many thousands of years old that it would be impossible. But, you know, just like Sasuke says, hashtag Mel just horny. Or Mel just maybe want a shadow baby. In the books, it's possibly hinted at that she definitely maybe wanted another shadow baby. Stannis couldn't take any more. At this point, they didn't really show how much she needed it in the show, right?
It's not really hinted at. Like, Stannis wants another one, but she's like, no, your fire's burned too low. This is before she goes and gets Gendry.
I feel like it's going to play out here and going to play out into how Melisandre dies in season 8. We may not like it, but
if you believe in the Nisa theory, which
I necessarily don't. I mean, even Lyanna Stark might be Nisa. So
no, I think the whole Nisa thing's a red herring. But
could be because you got the last hero too.
We've spoken of that, but if you believe in it, and even if you don't, I think Melisandre believes in it, and I think Melisandre believes that she has made so many poor decisions that maybe to sacrifice herself is the only. I think she has that much faith that to sacrifice herself is the only way to make things right.
Well, also, I think she's been looking for a purpose and a noble death for a while, seemingly. She doesn't want to just die. She wants to die with purpose, and she wants to know there's something. You know, Jon being brought back, I think, made her ready to die.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Agreed. Totally agreed.
Yeah, with Mel, if she
Good
is
question, Andy.
Yeah, with Mel and all of them. But well, so it says the shadow baby takes the life from Stannis, but does it give life to Melisandre? Yeah, because she says to Stannis that his fire. She's like, when they're on the beaches of Dragonstone, it says your fires burn low, my king. That his life force isn't as strong, so maybe it gives her some subtle life force, isn't sort of changes her like mothers, like
She
sometimes
hasn't.
their DNA with their children, like sometimes their DNA kind of shifts when they have children slightly, like it alters their DNA as well a little bit. So it's
This
possible
is
that
perfect.
something
Oh, go
like
ahead.
that happens, like it's that she gets a twinge of something, maybe. I don't know. Not
No,
necessarily like an extra life point like on a video game, but maybe it just makes her power stronger.
oh, this makes so much sense, Andy. Oh my gosh.
Melisandre
Epiphany
actually got a
time.
green mushroom.
No, hold on. Epiphany time. Think about this. How has Mel lived so long? It's not the glamour. Shadow babies. She has to take an essence of life. What goes from Stannis can't all go into the shadow baby. It has to transfer through Mel. So whatever that leftover magic probably keeps her alive. Yes, I know the ruby. Supposedly the glamour keeps her alive for that long. But if she takes it off and she's 300 years old, she should instantly die. So I don't think that's the case.
No, I've always thought of that as given.
Yeah.
At least me personally, I've always thought of that as a given.
Yeah.
Like, she makes that, like, basically the shadow baby's the byproduct of her extending her life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's how I've always thought about it anyway.
Well, I'm always late to the party, so screw you guys.
Yeah, but exactly that calls into question how many shadow babies has she had, or how this kind of situation, how many times has that happened? And maybe when she was trying to get with John, she probably was like, I could add an extra couple years to my life. Let's see how that works. But if we're going to talk about like the how this could be Nisa, where she's like, when she like bears chest and it's like feel my heart beating, like he may have to kill her, especially if she shows up in season 8. It's like, I'm back, and she'll be like stabbed to the heart instead of like we all think that Davos is going to be the one to end up killing Mel. But what if John has to do it? I don't know. But anyway, we missed kind of the conversation with that Stannis has with Selyse about John and how he is a special person and a special being, and Selyse kind of recounts about how she never gave sons to Stannis and that she only gave him weakness, which was Shireen, and yeah, that Stannis also talks about with Shireen about how she got grayscale. Because in the last episode, she talks to Gilly about like, yeah, I got grayscale, and it's when I was a baby. I don't remember it. I don't remember how they treated me for it. But we know that it was a Dornish traitor that gave Shireen her grayscale.
Well,
So
I hate to ruin this, and definitely talk about that grayscale and Selyse here, but Sasuke brings up a great question. What if she takes life from those she burns? Well, Dany took life and put it into dragon eggs from those she burned. You can argue there are other instances there. The tragedy at Summerhall was thought to be a similar case that ended up turning into a tragedy, as it is known. So I think every ritual she does is for a purpose. But if that was her life's blood, I don't think she would have kept Mance alive for the sake of the king's blood thing. But I could be wrong there. But I think everything to do with her rituals gives her a little bit. Could be something that actually powers the ruby. The ruby could actually store magic. It's almost like a magic battery that builds up and stores energy later.
That may be why the Bastine, like, she doesn't have the necklace on. That's why there's that continuity, right? Or either that's the continuity error that she doesn't have it on that we think it is that it's
It
something
actually
else.
really adds a disturbing dimension to the Supertramp song. Give a little bit. Give a little bit of your love to me. Give a little bit. Give a little bit of your life to me. Like, oh my god! Like, I'm gonna have nightmares about this now. Thank you for the Supertramp nightmares, Sasuke.
Yes, it did burn Sasuke. It did burn her a bit when she burned Mance in the books, but it wasn't. I think it was because I think she felt the burn because she didn't burn Mance, right? She burned the Lord of Bones, and I think she felt that burn because she burned someone she wasn't supposed to. She actually took something from the Red God. It's something we hear from Jaqen. Oh, all these things are connecting, and we're going down this awesome wormhole. Love it. Love it.
Yeah, it'll be.
Actually, the end of the wormhole is that all things relate to Supertramp.
Well, it's all Bloodraven did it. I mean, hashtag Bloodraven did it. Or hashtag the children of the forest north of the wall did it.
Or
I swear, the children of the
Brandon.
forest north of the wall.
Yeah, but the children of the forest and Bloodraven are all members of Supertramp.
There you go.
Well, I mean, and yes, Arya owes more than one life, Peter Griffin, as far as I'm concerned.
She knows.
And she also owes some
Bloodraven's the
faces.
rhythm guitarist.
Yeah. Arya owes
I
about.
can't remember his name. John. Oh gosh, I can't remember his name.
John does not
As the
know.
Rock used to say, it doesn't matter what his name is. So.
Well, no, it's a rhythm guitarist. It definitely doesn't matter what it is.
Anyway.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
when you think of the flute player's name, let me know.
Now you're thinking of Jethro Tull.
I'm fucking with you, man. Just go. Sasa, bring us back on track. I've had a few beers
Okay.
for the first time this year.
I'm derailing your channel.
There. So we see Stannis, Selyse, and Shireen talk about John and Shireen. So John's important, and I think Sasuke mentioned that it's like if only Stannis knew how important John is actually, in terms of his parentage. Yeah, there was a. Yeah, like if Stannis knew exactly who John was, how different their relationship would be, I don't know. But yeah, that I can't remember the exact dialogue that Stannis says, but it's talking about pretty much how he's a good person and that you kind of have to listen to him. And when she's talking about Shireen, it's like I only gave you weakness, but Shireen's pretty badass for how young she is, even though she dies because of her parents' stupid decisions. She survived grayscale. She was a baby and she had grayscale, so like that's pretty crazy. And that she also is Princess Shireen of House Baratheon, and that she's awesome. And then we see Mel discuss with Selyse about the incoming battle at Winterfell with the Boltons, and she asks if Stannis wants to leave her behind, but Stannis says that he's going to take her with him. So, and see if that makes probably any difference. Obviously, it doesn't because she retreats back to the wall in the end. But and then we get the paperwork.
Well, I mean, kind of to the point, back to where we find out about the story of how Shireen got Grayscale. We see how much Stannis actually loves her. and he's letting his fervent, it's not even religious beliefs, it's a grasp for power, it's a grasp for outdoing his brothers who has been overshadowed by, even Renly to an extent, was a little more pampered and overshadowed him. He got Storm's End. Stannis was stuck with Dragonstone, even though that is usually where the heir apparent is, like the Prince of Dragonstone. Robert meant it as a slight. And so this is kind of in his head almost sociopathically, to where he won't let anything stop him. He regrets decisions later, but not yet. He is in this zone, but right here, he seemingly has a moment of clarity, and then we're just punched in the face by, well, we got to take Shireen with us, and we know what's coming. Selyse just, you know, she's worse than Kat for sure. I don't like Catelyn Tully, but Selyse, I cannot stand her. The disdain she has for the one child that fucking survived. She has all these other babies that she worships. These stillborn babies that she worships. Like a crazy person. But the one fucking baby that accidentally, was given the wrong fucking toy by her parents.
Yeah.
It's shunned. It's stupid. But she has been driven into madness by this, and you have to imagine postpartum depression, regular depression, even PTSD from all of the miscarriages here. And she, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't she there during the siege of Storm's End?
Yes.
So she had to go through that. Definite PTSD. When you're having to eat dogs and then maybe
rats.
people. I don't even think Stannis would admit to eating people if they had to. But I'm sure if Stannis didn't eat people, some of the people there did. At some point you have to resort to cannibalism. So I'm gonna stop my insane tangent right now and let y'all talk a little bit about Shireen.
Yeah, well, she did eat soup made of binding glue, so
No,
that would drive you nuts too.
yeah, no, I agree with you, Johnny. Like on 2 points. One, yes, Selyse makes Kat Tully look like a decent parent, which is hard to do. Like that takes a lot of effort. That takes a lot of crazy. But also, yeah, I think it's a great thing about how these books are written and even the show. Like, all we know is that Stannis was holed up in Dragonstone for 9 months. And the Onion Knight came and saved him. Now, in the book, they go a little more into detail about it. First, we eat the rats, then we eat the dogs.
They talk about this on the way to King's Landing in season 2.
Okay.
They talk about it. Yeah,
I don't remember the conversation.
Davos and Stannis are on the boat, and he's like, "Yeah, because this is where they kind of introduce Davos as the Onion Knight. They give him more of a back. It's when they start to give Davos' character more of a backstory, and like why he's called the Onion Knight. He's like, that you saved us because we ate the rats. Like it was like the horses. Like started with the horses and goes through all the different." Listing all the different things.
The horses and the rest of the dogs. I like dogs.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
I do remember that scene because I remember when he's like, I like dogs.
Yeah, but it didn't taste. Yeah, so
dogs are loyal.
And then he's like, oh, we ate the cats. I don't like cats.
Yeah.
Jade, I'm not talking about you.
The one cat that you like.
No, I like a lot of cat. No, I'm talking about what
situation. Yeah.
What Stannis was saying is we this and this and this and this and this, and then it's like kind of like left off ambiguously. Mm-hmm. And yeah, Johnny, I think you're right. I think there were people who turned to cannibalism.
You kind of have to. Like they even mention it with Alistair Thorne mentions it. It's like Yeah, sometimes we're beyond the wall for months, and at first we ate the horses, and then like whatever else we could find. Like it was we eat whatever we could find, and then we eat the horses, and then we started to eat people. Like I didn't enjoy it, but sometimes that happens. But yeah, Serene, Selisa's
Yeah,
just
if Stannis
really.
is eating a fucking dog, you can bet some peasant is down there eating a person that just died.
Hi. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, sixes and ones. Yeah, you've totally got it there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then before Mel does her seducingness, John and Sam are doing paperwork where they have to kind of send ravens to minor houses to get new recruits. And it's like Lord Smallwood, Lord Mason, and a few other houses. And then the raven comes for Winterfell, and it says Roose Bolton, and saying that now they need more recruits from the Warden of the North, and John reluctantly signs the paper. And yeah, it's just it's just probably really painful. It's like Warden of the North instead of seeing Robb Stark like he should have seen. Just sees Roose Bolton, and it's just like, damn it. But eventually John gets his due with the Boltons, so I know we kind of talk about the scene that's after, but John and having to reluctantly ask Roose Bolton for people. What do you feel?
This for me was the redeeming quality of this episode.
Mm-hmm.
This scene. This scene for me was very much the redeeming quality of this episode. The rest of it, I could kind of piss on, but I think the poignancy of John becoming a leader and how heartbreaking it's going to be down the road. Like he is making decisions he doesn't want to make. He's doing things he doesn't want to do, but he knows they're the best thing to do. Like whether I want to do them or not, I'm doing it. Like it comes across that way. You know, it really comes across that way. Like his hesitancy when he's like there was part of me that would have written Roose fucking Bolton. Like, just come on, give me some people, give me some bodies. This for me was the scene for the ship.
I would say it's a real good scene. It shows how malleable John is, how good of a leader he is, how set up for the whole damn show that he is a leader. We see Dany thrust into a leadership position and forced to make decisions that ultimately she's going back and forth on. Dany is a mediocre leader. Like, I like Dany, but she has to get better. Yes, OTDA, what is up, my man? RIP, Barristan the Bold. I hate how he went out.
We're going to get to that in a minute because I need to rant.
But back to the matter at hand with John having to reach out to Roose Bolton. Yeah, they need all the men they can get. Sam reaffirms this for him. And this showcases John actually listening to advice as well. And taking the right advice, too.
Which is what a good leader doesn't stand and say, hey, I'm right.
Mm-hmm.
Like a good leader sits and listens to the people around him.
Yeah.
Or her.
Well, something makes a funny point. Sam could have been smarter and filled the names later, but John wouldn't have had to make that decision and learn as well.
Yeah. It's also like we need men and we need help from the Warden of the North. Like Sam put it as like this is what we have to do, and we may or may not get a scene like this if John happens to be king, which God hoping he probably will. And he has to make a harsh decision of signing something that's this would be a mundane thing, but like say signing something that's important, whether it's something that Danny should have signed or something like that. And he's like, you got to sign it because you have to sign it, kind of thing. So it's like him having to do what he wants to do, even though he shouldn't, or he feels like he can't do it. Another thing that we forgot to point out too is after Mel has kind of gotten over what she wants to do, which is get sexy with Jon Snow, she utters the words, "You know nothing." Jon Snow. So either did Mel see this in the fire, or did she just, or just know that this is something that's said, even though she didn't see it to him? Like, He's taken aback when she says that. He goes, "What?" Because they talk about how she has, because she says the dead don't need lovers, and he's like, "But I still love her," which calls season 7 Jon Snow into major questions, for me anyway, in terms of him just immediately falling for Daenerys. Like, no, but anyway, Jon not over egret. What do we feel about that part, if we want to talk about it? Unless I drop it out.
I mean, yeah, I don't think he'll ever get over egret, right? I mean, it's just, it's your first love. Maybe his only love here. Perhaps Danny, but I think that's going to get thrown in turmoil as soon as he finds out who he is and everything that Danny's done. I mean, it's just, there's so much there that they're not going to be able to think about their relationship until the Battle of Winterfell is over, in my opinion. So, yeah, that's kind of what I think about that. It's pretty short and sweet.
Yeah. Oh, and we lost Jon somehow. But yeah, that whole of like I still love her thing, even though she's dead, that just brings, like, when they just make Jon immediately fall in love with Daenerys, it's like, no, please God, no. Unless it's like that's his change from coming back from the dead, so that he just automatically likes somebody again. But we see Stannis. Yeah, we see Stannis again, and this is obviously where he talks about the wooden doll, which we kind of touched on and talked about. And if we don't really need to talk about it again, because we kind of talked about all of that stuff.
Yeah.
We see in Winterfell Sansa at Lyanna's statue, and Peter Baelish talking about Lyanna and how pretty she was, and talking
I'm
about
getting
young Ned.
familiar with you, Sansa. I want to be down in the crypts with you. Your sister was beautiful. Did you know that she caused an entire war? Maybe I did it. I won't tell you.
John says he has tech issues. I say he's a fracking liar. But no, I believe it. No, everything's acting weird. Facebook, Hangouts, everything's just going kind of nuts today. So it's okay, John. If you're out there,
Listen to my voice and just touch yourself.
So yeah, Baelish did start those rumors. The first thing she says is you shouldn't be down here. We see this later in season 7, and maybe one of the only shining moments of that season is when John kind of does the Ned choke to Littlefinger. But here, it just they kind of talk about everything with the war for basically Lyanna, and not much more can be said other than they start to go out. They talk about Rhaegar riding against Barristan Selmy. That's definitely thrown out there. And the Victor's Crown. Everybody thought Elio was to get it. Blah blah blah. And we still have this lie that Rhaegar kidnapped and raped Lyanna, the
Stole
she-wolf,
her away.
right? And yeah, which accent do you hate, Imagination Rail? Which of the 3 Littlefinger accents do you hate? She'll say all of them, I bet. But and
Yeah, the
Littlefinger's wearing his clothes to leave. Sansa notices that. We start to see that Sansa notices the little things, right? Which is it's good about her development of character. If you have to kind of pay attention to it, or you'll miss these things. But she notices these small things that Littlefinger's doing. Knows that she'll be alone, and it's made apparent again that she is the last Stark heir, which she is. Period.
Mhm.
Jon is not a Stark. Yes, he's a Stark and a Targaryen. The whole
But not a
speech he
Stark
gave
heir.
Theon, but he's not a Stark. He's a, and that goes more to the credence of Sansa ruling the North later. And I'm just talking a little bit because I'm going to shut up for the rest of the scene. Go ahead.
Yeah, so when it's kind of apropos, if that's the right word, that Littlefinger talks about Lyanna, because I feel like Ned barely said anything to the kids about Lyanna. All that she was his sister and that probably much loved her, obviously, because he can't go into too much detail because of Jon being around all the time. So this, even though we may not get this exact verbatim scene, we may have tend to have a conversation like, I know a bit about, like, Ord Bran being like, we know about your mother, and like this is like who she was and all of the stuff that had happened and how it was a lie and everything. Like, this will be brought up again. We may even, praise God, maybe get a flashback and maybe see this first scene. Who knows? But the fact that, yeah, it's like that he wrote against Barristan Selmy, who R.I.P. Barristan Selmy passes away in this episode, and that the crowd fell silent when the crown of Queen and Love and Beauty gets given to Lyanna, and which then obviously overthrows the Targaryen dynasty. And like, why would your like, why did this happen? Well, we know that this happens because they actually did fall in love and get married for love. But you could also say too that Riker was obsessed with the prophecy that was that.
Can I say one thing? The problem I have here is how they back up scenes with one another. And not even like this is backed up, but this is in the same episode with a lot of Dany kind of getting told about Rhaegar as well, and how much that means. Good. What do you think the implications of that will be with Sansa and Dany? Because I know everyone thinks instant turmoil, but I think Sansa's not going to necessarily rush to that. She's going to play her cards, because her character seemingly developed a lot, in my opinion, slowly over time, but that's just who her character is. And if you read the books, you get to know her mind, and you can appreciate Sansa or hate her a little more. It's up to you, but I would recommend reading the books, and you can kind of see Sophie Turner's brilliance here. If you watch her small mannerisms, you can see her thinking. A lot of Sansa's character is in her own head in the books because it has to be. She has to hide herself from everyone. So that's the beautiful thing about her character.
Yeah, exactly. And also I'll just wrap up the Sansa thing. There's that Baelish is in riding clothes, and Sansa will be alone with the Boltons, but he says that Stannis will attack the Boltons soon and beat before the winter. But then, because Stannis is the best with the military, the Boltons will be outnumbered by Stannis. But she asks what will happen if Stannis is to be killed, and then she explains that she'll have to just marry Ramsay, and that she will destroy destroy that family within future plans, in a sense, and that she'll be the powerful ally for Littlefinger because, you know, he wants to sit beside with her on the Iron Throne. And again, he kisses her on the lips too, and that's when he leaves. It's like, ugh.
You don't like my... Look, he has the only mint in the Seven Kingdoms. He's the only guy I've ever heard of in the book that actually chews mint, and he obsessively does it. So at least he has good breath. Shout out to Littlefinger.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. Please don't. I'm just kidding. Like, this is the creepiest shit ever, man.
Also,
That's
too,
all I gotta say. It's so fucking creepy.
Also, too, the feather is used in this episode, which we haven't seen since the first episode in the show. Feather playing importance. The guinea, what is it? The guinea bird, the guinea hen feather, or whatever we deduced it to be. So yeah, it shows back up again. Who knows? It'll pop back up in season 8. Anyway, John, what do you feel about Littlefinger and Sansa and their whole Rhaegar conversation?
Yeah, did that kiss remind you of relationships past? I'm such an asshole.
Okay, I'm sorry I popped out for a minute. I'm having technological issues.
Oh, it's okay. Google saw my face and cut me off too, so it's no big deal. We're both ugly factors.
Yeah,
Well, mine had to do with an extension cord. I think my cat's been chewing on it.
I'm the only ugly fucker on here then. Sorry. I'm just kidding. Anyways, have a good day, John. We'll talk to you later. No, I'm kidding.
You can probably try and see if you're not robot. I don't see you roboting.
You sound good
anymore.
to me, buddy.
Am I roboting?
No.
I said no one's roboting. So John, if you want to come back to us.
Come back, Johnny. Come back. We need you.
Hey.
Baby,
oh, look at that pretty face.
Oh, look at that. Look. I'm just going to shave that right there. Look, it's ready to go. It's waiting on you guys to just will my hair to fall out. John, with your beautiful mane, why don't you talk for us? Tell us a little bit about Littlefinger in the crypt.
Yeah, that's the thing. I hate this fracking episode so much, and I told you this ahead of time, Kenzie. Like, I really hate this episode. But there's the scene with Jon Snow writing the letter, and this scene right here where it's uncomfortable. It's a terribly uncomfortable scene, but it's done well. It's done very well. And what's most heartbreaking is that Sansa thinks she's finally playing the long game. Like she thinks she finally is getting it. And then that rug gets pulled out from under her again. Like, that's what makes that scene so heartbreaking. At least for me.
Yeah, that's a good point. And hashtag #DevilFace, yes. I have to redo some stuff on my computer before I can bring the double face back. But yes, Bubba Husky, it will be back. I have fun with that. Also, yeah, Peter has a good point about Catherine. Maybe you forgot that you didn't smoke today, Catherine. So you should think about that. I do that all the time. Back to the whole Sansa thing. I think it was pretty. We went over it pretty good, but I want to ask you, Sasa. How did you enjoy that kiss when Littlefinger laid it on you?
Not very much, because, you know, hashtag creepy uncle status with Baelish. But yeah, it's like, I guess because she's kind of used to it now because he's kissed her. Now this will be the second or third time that he's kissed her like that, so she's kind of used to it. But at this point, she's maybe so like tiny bits. Listen to Littlefinger and not listen to him at the same time. Like, listen to what he's talking about, but then take it and spin it in your own way.
I kissed a creep and I liked it.
Hashtag creepy uncle kisses. feel like that'll be the rating that I'll give this episode at one point. But yeah, also too with this, it's too, I guess, she trusts Littlefinger and she trusts his credibility. So the fact that he knows about this history is a good thing. So she has a connection to the past, but it also calls into question how he knows so much intimate details about the beginning before the rebellion. Like, because I can't remember if Littlefinger was there at the tourney of Harrenhal or not, but yeah, it's a little weird that he's like has like such knowledge of this, but I can't.
Damn, I can't remember. I think he may have been there as a child because Liana was there,
Oh yeah,
and Lysa was there, and wasn't he a ward at
yeah.
River
So back
Run?
when Littlefinger was a boy living with Santa's with the Tullys, the Lord Went of Harrenhal held a massive tourney where everybody went. Yeah, because Ares was there, and this was where Jaime was named to the King's Guard at this point, I believe, around this point. So yeah, he was there.
I'm gonna look this up because I'm pretty sure he wasn't there.
It's a Prince Rhaegar, Grand Prince Rhaegar, Robert Baratheon, and Lyanna Stark. Everyone. Lyanna was there, publicly betrothed. Baelish remembers how awe he was, a boy from nowhere with no significant holdings, to see all these living legends gathered in one place.
Okay, cool.
That's what it says in the show version. I don't know exactly if the book.
No, I think it's the same in the books. You're right. I do think he was there.
Yeah, because
for me, once again, like it, like I really want to hate this episode. I want to hate the shit out of this episode so much. But like I said, this whole interaction between Baelish and Sansa and Jon Snow's interaction with Samwell and sending out the letters, like, and I can't blame the actors. Like, you know, I've gone back and done another watch through, and I'm a lot more sympathetic to the Sand Snakes. Like, but like the show Sand Snakes, the book Sand Snakes are freaking awesome, but dumb, just like the show Sand Snakes. But like, you got really bad writing. Like, but the two well-written parts of this episode are, Jon and Sam, and then Sansa and Baelish. And like I said, what I think is heartbreaking is that she knows she's getting screwed over. She just doesn't know how bad she's getting screwed over.
Yeah, because she thinks she still has time. That's the thing. She still thinks she has time before she has to marry Ramsay. That probably Bolton, that Baelish will come back. But anyway.
Yeah, she has no idea what the hell she's getting into. Nobody, I mean, if Littlefinger doesn't know that much about Ramsay, then she definitely doesn't.
Yeah.
Oh, Littlefinger knows everything about Ramsay.
I don't know about everything. Even
Littlefinger probably knows what Ramsay had for breakfast.
Yeah. Anyway.
I mean, that's you just being. I mean, yeah, Littlefinger's smart, but I could say there's one or two people who wouldn't know that much about. And my bastard, you know, don't talk about Ben's kid like that, man.
Baby Ramsay. Hashtag Baby Ramsay. Well, I guess because we're talking kind of about Daenerys. So we see Daenerys looking from her apartment, and Barristan talks about Rhaegar and how he would go into the streets and mingle with all the people in the Street of Steel and like play his harp and be the, I guess, pop star of his generation, because she's only heard that Rhaegar was a killer, which it's like you gotta have that contrast, right? Rhaegar, bad person, steals your aunt, rapes your aunt, kills your aunt. Rhaegar is a good person. He did this
that's
and this and
funny.
this and this.
Because doesn't Danny say that Rhaegar was a good killer to Barristan before he goes and gets killed? And then Barristan kind of says, no, he was a good fighter, but he was a good
He never
person.
enjoyed killing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says Barristan. Yeah, he says that Rhaegar never was a great warrior, but he never enjoyed killing. He was a gentleman who liked to sing. Yeah, that he goes to the flea bottom Strait of Seals, and that one day that they got drunk at one point. Like Barristan has fond memories of Rhaegar, but it's when it's in a stark wink, wink, nudge, nudge contrast to what Sansa figures out about her technical uncle. It's like that crazy dichotomy, and then we see that Dario goes to the throne room with his Dar, and on so, wait, hold on. That basically that Dany asks if Barristan wants to go with her to the throne room, but is assured that Dario can do his job, while Barristan wants to go and hang out in the streets. And then his Dar is again abdicating for the fighting pits to be opened, and Daenerys refuses. And then we get the dreaded scene after this, which is the Sons of the Harpy versus Barristan and the Unsullied, which ends in bad, bad, bad. So.
Yeah, like you said, the whole fighting pit's being reopened, this being drawn to her, and like he has a point, because this is something that's ingrained in culture and that can keep the masses thinking something completely different than what, it gets their minds off of the horrible everyday life. What am I, roboting or something?
No.
Oh, what are you whispering about there?
Because it's the imagination realm says Rhaegar equals Backstreet Boys.
Oh yeah, does that mean John is in sync and like John's Justin Timberlake and Sam is Joey Fatone, and then fill in the rest? But he has a
the
point
fat
there.
one. Fat one. No, it's Fatone.
It's kind of but it's kind of oh my gosh, he threw me so off. But his daughter wants seemingly what's good for her. I know she gets almost poisoned at the fighting pits later in the books, and in the show she basically just almost gets killed by a bunch of the Sons of the Harpy. But he does have a point, but it's a little too late. She's already made this public execution with no trial after she had preached about a trial. So she's put herself in this situation in a sense, even though any conqueror, anybody that overthrows a government and is replacing it with a new one is going to have some resistance. But she hasn't helped herself, right? And then Barristan dying. Yeah, he took out a ton of them, but it was, I don't know. It's hard. R.I.P. Barristan Selmy. I wish you would have got to kick a little more ass, and also be known as Arston Whitebeard for just a little while, and do a little tap 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 before you came out. But that's just me. Yeah. R.I.P. Barristan the Bold. Yeah. That's all I got to say about that.
Well, and if we're comparing and NSYNC members, Sasuke says that Loras Tyrell is Lance Bass. Anyway, John, what do you feel about the whole Marine situation, and especially about Paris?
Ooh, really? Trigger warning. Really? Like, this is the most badass motherfucker in anywhere. and he gets taken out by a bunch of like rich chumps with daggers. I yelled at my TV. I distinctly remember yelling at my TV when this happened. Not because I was like, oh, Barristan Selmy's dead. Like, I like his character so much. Like, no, Barristan Selmy died, killed by a bunch of chumps.
In an alley.
In an alley. Like, I don't get me wrong. Like, I could understand writing this amazing warrior dying an ignominious death. Like, I could understand that. Like, I could see the irony behind it. I could see it, but no, he gets killed by a bunch of chumps. And by the way, I should probably shut up now.
No, it's okay.
No, I'll get banned from your channel if I keep going on.
Okay. Yeah, Barristan's last stance really. It's one of the first people, like, yeah, you can see that Ned Stark's gonna be killed, but like for Barristan the Bold to be killed in such a way like this, it's just like, what? The fact that he's pretty much not dragged, but he's like put himself in this where he kills a whole bunch of people, but then he just dies. It's like, and the fact that like this obviously comes in the next episode, but Grey Worm feels a lot of remorse for the fact that he got to live and Barristan is dead. Like, he has survivor's guilt.
At least Sir Arthur Dane, to Catherine Harding's point, yeah, it wasn't almost as shitty. This was more shitty than Arthur Dane. At least Arthur Dane wielded two swords like a bad mofo for like a good 2 minutes. Yeah, he got stabbed in the back. That was like very poetic. That's the only way you're going to kill.
Grey Worm should have survivor's guilt.
Mm-hmm. He has survivor's guilt. Sasuke makes a good point of we should do the shittiest deaths in Westeros in Game of Thrones.
That's a good one. Sasuke, see, that's what's up. You're in the circle now. I think I might just add you somewhere. Whatever. Might get a random PM.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Sorry, Johnny, I cut you off. You were making a very good point.
Yeah, that's right. Shut the fuck up, John. What was I talking about?
It's just Barristan Selmy's death angers me so much that I even politeness is thrown out.
Yeah, you were talking about how like with Barristan, Johnny, like how it just doesn't really make any.
Oh yeah, well I mean at least Arthur Dane went out kind of like he was supposed to. The only way he could go out was by someone stabbing him literally in the back, as what happened. Like the greatest swordsman. One of the greatest swordsmen to ever live. You can't say he's the greatest swordsman. You could argue that even in Germ's eyes, Jaime may even be on par or better. Before his hand was chopped off, of course. But Barristan, yeah, I don't know whose points it was in the chat, but he didn't. This was his only real fight.
Mm-hmm. In the show.
Yeah. So in the books, he took out 2 gold cloaks when he was unarmed. He killed them and got away, and we didn't get to see that. And he was also Arstan Whitebeard, hiding his identity while he was trying to figure out who Dany really was before he decided to actually pledge himself to her. In the show, they made it act like he was creeping on her for a little bit, but it couldn't have been that long because he had just left King's Landing. Anyways, we know how time works on the show. Yeah. And I'll shut the hell up. Yeah. He did kill the Manticore, Sasuke, and the little creepy child. That little fucker is still out there. So look out for that creepy child that has a rattlesnake mouth.
That what is it?
The Warlocks of Karth.
Yes, Warlock of Karth. But we've made it to the end of the episode, folks. We end with Barristan's death, and so what do you rank this episode? And all of our usual shenanigans in the end, like where people can find you and all that stuff. But first, what do you rank this episode and final thoughts?
Well, I'm gonna go with 7.7. Fuck. I'm gonna do a 7. Bodacious, Barriston, bullshit, man. Just some bullshit. You know, I was gonna try to come up with something funny, but just some Barriston bullshit. 7 Barriston bullshits. I would give it less than a 7, but there was a couple of redeeming scenes in this episode, just like John said, the one with John. Pun intended, I guess. I did enjoy the scene in the crypts of Winterfell and getting to know a little bit more of that. Tyrion and Jorah were good. Sand snakes. Ugh. But yeah, I'll go a flat 7 on this. And I really hate giving it this, but a flat 7 Barriston bullshit.
It happens. John, what do you think of this episode?
I keep having camera issues for one thing.
Mm.
Do you at least see my icon?
Yes.
Yeah, and just keep your personal problems in the private. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
But now you see the gray.
Yeah, the gray box. You've turned into a gray box.
I don't know what the fuck's up with my camera. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
No, I give this episode. I would give this episode a 4 if it weren't for the Sam scene and the Sansa scene. So I give this 6.5 brothel beat ups.
That's a good one. You made me snort.
That's funny. I give this episode 7 creepy uncle kisses. That was kind of my feeling, and then when I saw that it could show up in the chat, I was like, "Yep, creepy uncle kisses."
Sansa, you
Yes.
don't like my mental lips?
No.
Creepy. Lanso, 6 out of 10. Lanso foreheads. 6 out of 10. Pintoshi merchant heads.
7 out of 10.
That snort was
Stupid
adorable. LMR, living my rhapsody. Oh, the one true David Adams. Hello. Who wants a kiss?
The Imagination Realm gives this episode 7 stupid sand snakes. Sasuke gives this episode 6 out of 10 grayscale covered dolls. And Otilla Angel 7 on the Rickon scale. Catherine gives this 8 out of 10. Nothing clever to say.
That's actually even funnier than most things I've thought of.
Yeah. I say that too. And we lost John again. So
I think John's punching himself in the face right now.
He's smashing
He's
his
had
head
a
on the
stressful
keyboard.
stream day. And I'm laughing at him because
So,
I feel the pain.
Yeah.
And he comes back. It's like he's like creeping up behind us. John, are you playing creepy Peter Bellish right now? How's it
No,
going?
I'm just trying to figure out what the frack's going on with my camera.
Oh no, I think it's kind of too late at this point. We're 5 minutes from done with the stream. We'll worry about it later.
Yeah. Sasuke gives
love
it
you,
6
John.
out of 10. Disappearing John St. Baptiste. This is
Yeah.
Linda Smith gives this a 5. She says, "Too bad." What did it say? It said, "Too bad." A many too bad thing to give any good rating. Catherine Harding says, "I can't give anything less than an 8 on any season or episode."
Catherine, you're too kind. I mean, really.
Yeah,
Don't get me wrong.
Harsh critics here.
I appreciate that you like the show that much, but seriously, this episode really blows.
Yeah, it's not.
Look, man,
it's
you didn't have to come on here. Anyways, no, I'm just kidding.
So
but-
where Where can the folks at home find you both?
You can find me at Johnny B Crazy, at Johnny B Crazy on Twitter, Johnny B Crazy capital JBC, at all lowercase Johnny B Crazy on Instagram, at Johnny Bragg on Facebook. Also, tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern, check it out. It should be popping up in the chat right now. Nooners of Locations and Lord, High Garden with Sasa. It's fantastic. About an hour long. We'll be premiering. We'll be in the chat with y'all. Lots of fun visuals. I think y'all are gonna laugh at this one. You're gonna have a lot to look at. Nice maps. Maybe the set blowing up stuff there, and we get into a lot of things going on with High Garden. So it's very fun. Fire and Blood will come up at some point in the next few days. I've got to talk to these folks and see when the hell their schedule will permit me. But we're getting into the Dance of Dragons. And stop running away while I'm plugging everyone. I see you. Don't say night, friends. I see you. But no. And then we got BSG, Battlestar Galactica. The episode is Pegasus, Season 2, Episode 10, if I'm not mistaken. Spoiler free, 9 p.m. Eastern, with all the Cylon Johns and Jills. I will shut the frack up, but hit that link. Make sure you hit that reminder for tomorrow. And I'm pretty sure that Sasa might be on AU. Is it tomorrow you're on AU's channel?
No, I'm on AU's channel on Saturday. But
oh, okay. See, I don't even know what day it is.
Thank you for reminding me to talk about that. But John, where can the people find you, and what are you doing next?
You can find me here quite often.
Mm-hmm.
You can also find me on my own channel. Meet John St. Baptiste. Just started today, every Wednesday, as long as it's going on. We are reviewing American Gods, which I am totally stoked about. I had a great time. It's Amy True and I, Amy True is a member of the Cylon Chills. And we're just talking about how awesome this freaking show is. And then, yeah, Friday nights, I'm on the Cylon Johns with my co-host, Johnny B Crazy. Awesome, man. Also, I do put out my own content.
Yeah. You do.
Playlists come out on Tuesday. And I do maybe Music Ear Candy on Wednesday or Thursday. And then there's a teaser for the next playlist on Friday. So this past playlist was inspired by one of the members of this panel, which would be Johnny. He asked for some punk rock, and I threw out my favorite punk rock. So the next one is probably going to be thematic about something as opposed to musically thematic, but we'll see where it goes.
Interesting.
And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about myself.
Also, I was there during the stream. I didn't say much, but I did make fun of people while I was there. So go check it out. If you like me, just go watch that stream. No, just being
Peter Griffin, you are right. Tech Boy was fucking with me tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, John has also done playlists for all the Game of Thrones seasons, episode by episode. Those are linked in the description to check them out. John works hard on those, among with the songs of fire and
songs of ice and fire. Yeah.
And Johnny forgot to plug this again, but he will be doing Tommen, Joffrey, and Cersei versus Aenys, Maegor, and Visenya eventually on his channel. As for me, you can find me here every Wednesday doing live episodes of Episode Club. Next week, fingers crossed, we will be doing Season 6, Episode 2, Home.
Mackenzie, you are making me work way too fast.
Yes.
Because I'm trying to keep up with you.
Yeah, I've done the math multiple times to try and figure out how fast we have to do all of these episodes. So it's just it's been crazy.
I'm trying to keep up with you, and you're making me work way too fast.
Yeah. I'm like getting out the whip, and like it's not only Johnny that's now whipping you into shape. It's me now too. If you haven't already,
getting beaten by two beautiful red-haired people. Oh, that's heartbreaking. That just crushes my soul. That's just so awful. That just crushes my little Irish soul.
If you haven't already, please check out. Yesterday we had done a double stream, or not a double stream. It was 2 recordings of the podcast for Episode Club. It was 502, The House of Black and White, and 503, High Sparrow. So if you haven't checked that out, please check it out. It's only it was well done. We talked about really good stuff and kind of stuff that we kind of brought into this episode to talk about. So check that out. You can find me on Johnny's channel. You can find me on the Cylon Johns. You can also expect my 3 Queens versus 3 Queens theory to come out probably before the show starts. And yes, Catherine Harding, I am still in school. I had class today. I don't have class tomorrow, but I have class on.
Not high school, if you want.
No, I'm
going to throw that out there because the way she put it, I thought it was funny.
Yeah, no, it's technically university. It's college, but I take university level courses. But yeah, so it's just craziness, and yeah, we have to get all these episodes out. We're basically in between podcasts doing just doubling up on the episodes and putting them out, just because it's how much we have to do in so little time. So next upload should be 505 Kill the Boy, which Johnny did on Drinks and Those Things, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, Johnny. And 506 as well, which is, I just wrote it down the other day. It's in the comments. I can't remember the title of 506, but I'm Bound, I'm Bent, I'm Broken, Santa's wedding episode. So with that, we will see you all next week and in the comments of all of the other episode clubs and on Friday. So bye everyone.
Bye everyone.
Bye.